Hi guys, today we're going to look at rounded to decimal places. Now, say in a calculation at some point in time you were asked to find out 27 divided by 35. And you get that as a nice fraction on your calculator, but we might be looking at decimals. So 27 divided by 35, and I'm going to press my STD button, is 0.771428, and it goes on. Now, in many ways that's a difficult number to work with, because the more decimal places we have, the less relevance it has. And you know, this is, so we've got tenths, hundredths, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, hundredths. This is 8 millionths or 5/10 millionths of one. So that really doesn't have much significance. It's a very, very small part of what we may be talking about. So we round off to a given amount of decimal places. So I might say round to 1 decimal place. And I'm going to put DP because that'll make it short. So I've got 0.771428.5. And if I want to round to one decimal place and say, well, okay, here's my 1 decimal place, but now what I need to do is I need to see, is this closer to 0.7 or is it closer to 0.8? And I'm sure you're used to thinking about that if I've got 5 or more, I round the value up, but if I've got 4 or less, it rounds down. So we'll discuss that in a moment because I think that's important too. But here 7, that tells me to round up. So that means that this value is going to go up by 1. So my answer is 0.8 to 1 decimal place, because that is closer to 0.8 than it is to 0.7, because it's beyond halfway between 0.7 and 0.8. So let's look at if we had to round to 2 decimal places. And again, I tend to write out my number in full, 7714285. And now I'm going to look at, okay, 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, and I'm going to look at this one to see whether it's close to 0.77 or it's close to 0.78. Well, that's telling me to round down, so I'm not going to go up to the 8, but actually I don't go down either. I remain at 0.77 because this is closer to 0.77 than it is to 0.78. So that's my answer. Now, 2 decimal places is the most common. And I wonder if you can think why. Well, yes, it's because of money. And money is always given to 2 decimal places. So if I said £1,000 on the lottery is to be shared between 23 winners, how much do they get each? I would first have to do 1,000 divided by 23, which would equal something truly horrendous, 43.478260956, and it gives me the option to go further, but I mean, it's irrelevant. We're talking about money, and so because we're talking about money, we're going to think, it's two decimal places. So I'll count, here's my decimal point. I'll make that a bit clearer because it doesn't stand out very well. I'm going to go for two numbers after my decimal point. I'm going to realise that only that digit makes a difference. And I can see that because it's more than 5, it's going to round up. So this will go up a value. So we get £43.48. That's the closest to what they'll actually get. Actually, if you were dividing it, you'd have to give them 47 because there wouldn't be enough money to give them 48. But the key things are, and the key things about the way I like it done, is I would like you to count by writing your decimal places. So two decimal places, count one first, then the second, and then circle the third. Then think about rounding up or rounding down, so 5 or above rounds up, 4 and below rounds down. Remembering rounding up changes the next figure along by 1 upwards, and rounding down leaves it the same. And I often think rounded down's a bit of a poor name for it, but if you come down, you stay the same. It's only when you round up that it does change. So again, if I'd have said round to 5 decimal places, I'd speak to them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then circle at 8, and then would round up. So as long as you keep that routine going, you'll always do well on these. And my final point was the idea that money is always 2 decimal places. So that's where this rounding to do this 2 decimal places, or rounding to a number of decimal places, is most used. And remember, the reason that it's used anyway is because, for example, this was 5 10 millionths. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 9 billionths. This is 5 trillionths of a pound. What use is that? No use at all. 5 trillionths of a pound. If I gave you a treat for your birthday and gave you 5 trillionths of a pound, what would you buy with it? Absolutely nothing. So we round off to work with values that are useful. Okay?